Bundesliga predictions, round 33.
That's right, Ian. It's round 33. It is the final 2 rounds of the Bundesliga. First thing, I need to just put a disclaimer in. Because of the midweek matches, we are filming this when they are happening, so we do not know the result. We had to do that last week, and we didn't have too bad an average. I'm sorry, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, so that's that. If you stay till the end, we will give a shout out to everybody who commented on our previous Bundesliga video. Please continue to like, subscribe. It makes us feel really good. We love it when you comment. We get a whole conversation going about this. So please keep doing that. If you care for one single match instead of marinating in the gorgeous majesty that is all 9 Bundesliga matches, look below. We've timestamped them if you just need to get a result. And without further ado or gilding the lily, I'm going to lead us in so Ian can go first because it's 1.FC Cologne hosting Eintracht Frankfurt.
Another terrible result for the Billy Goats, Thomas. They lost 2-1 to Union Berlin. Well, that is the last game we've seen. Well, as Thomas just said, we're filming this before we've seen how they've got on in midweek. They, along with Schalke and Paderborn, have not won a game since coming back from the break, and they slide further and further down the league. They're just a side that's desperate for the season to end now. A really poor performance against Union. They just played into Union's hands. Didn't really offer much going forward, and then were just sloppy at defending set pieces, and Union punished him for it. They did get a goal back through Cordoba. Oof played him in, but that was only due to a mistake by Union very, very late on in the game. Yes, I'm not going to harp on too much because, again, it's fine. They've consolidated from coming up last season. They can go again next season, roared on, hopefully again with their fans, which clearly do make a big difference, as does Hennes, the mascot. And I'm sure he's the reason why they've not been doing too well. Frankfurt were absolutely fantastic, and you're going to talk about them more. And how can you not back Frankfurt after what they did at the weekend? I think it's going to be Cologne 1, Frankfurt 3.
Ian, please put the disclaimer in. My boy! So, Frankfurt absolutely spanked high-flying Hertha Berlin 4-1. But the man to watch is Daichi Kamada. Sensational assist from our man from Japan. He beats 3 men and lays it to Silva for a back-heeled finish. Honestly, the second half of the season has proved that this player is so important to this side. I've highlighted a bunch, but it all came out of interviews I read with his manager and his play in the Europa League, where they said they were surprised because he's always had the work rate, but all of a sudden he has this final product. And it seems like every time he has a good game, they win. Absolutely fantastic to beat Hertha. Obviously, that entire match hinges on Boyata just being an idiot and getting sent off. But you got to highlight Andre Silva gets 2 goals and an assist, so he's man of the match. Bastos with a goal, and Ndika with a thumping finish from the edge of the
Wonderful goal. He scored literally like 4 of the goals, or 3 of the goals were wonderful goals. Really good.
Oh, it's fantastic. And Die Adler are probably coming off another win because they're playing Schalke in the midweek, and it's hard not to back anybody against Schalke. I know they drew with Leverkusen, all right, but I still think Frankfurt are probably coming off a win, and this could make it 3 in a row. Cologne, you just never know which one of them is going to turn up. Is it the team that can draw a match, or is it the team that's going to lose? That's right, they don't win. Don't even pretend that they're going to win this. I was going to do the same scoreline as Ian, but you know what? I think it'll just be 2-0 to Frankfurt. I think they're too strong, and they're doing quite well now. They're pushing up the table, and they're going to really want to end in the top half, and I think that that'll be important to them. So I think, 2-0.
FSV Mainz 0-5 versus Werder Bremen.
Ian, I'd like to talk about the performance of the season from Werder Bremen. I have actually not got a clue what happened, but they went out and they spanked Paderborn 5-1. They now have a great chance of catching Dusseldorf and possibly Mainz to stay safe. Klaassen had a brace, Osaka had a goal, Eggestein had a goal, and Fulkrug got the 5th. Fulkrug's been out for 9 months with an injury, so a really nice moment for him. Their biggest problem is they're probably coming off a loss to Bayern Munich, who they themselves have probably been crowned champions at this point. And this is going to really sting the people that run Bremen, because this is a club that is supposed to be aiming for Bundesliga titles, not for just staying in the league. This is must win. They have to beat Mainz. If they can't win this, the Great Escape is well and truly off. And I'm going to be honest with you, Ian, I don't think they can beat Mainz. The last time these two teams played, Mainz beat Bremen 5-0. I can't put faith in this Bremen side, especially if they even try and turn it on for the final 3 games because it's not worth it. And in reality, they've got 2 games because Bayern will beat them. So I'm going with a Mainz victory, and I think it's going to look really straightforward. I think it's going to be 2-0 Mainz.
Do you know, Tom, I'm absolutely shocked by that. I can't believe you've gone for a Mainz victory in that one. I really can't. I gave Bremen a lot of shit in past videos, and they deserve that, but they do deserve credit for that fantastic win. They were excellent in that 5-1 win against Paderborn. They really put them to the sword in that game. And that makes me think they're going to come into this one looking good. They look a completely different side away from home when they play at home. Mainz look all over the place. They lost to Augsburg. They did what they usually do. They look pretty good in the build-up play, and then it's just falls apart when they have to do something clinical or something clutch or something in the final third. They give away goals, and I think that's going to play into Bremen's hands, who certainly are a side that look like they can score goals again. And obviously a side that knows if they take the lead, how to hold on to it. So the first goal is very important in this one. And also, this is so important down the bottom of the league. If Bremen win this game, they go level on points with Mainz, and it just leaves all very, very, very tantalisingly poised going into the final game. I think Mainz have to play Leverkusen on the final game of the season. So this is a huge game for them. And they will be looking to... Well, they really just need to avoid defeat. They can't afford to lose this game. 0-0 draw is absolutely fine for Mainz in this one. The biggest thing for me is just the muddled thinking of the side. They got more and more rattled and more panicked the more and more the game went on. We talk about Quaison a lot because he's like the focal point of their attacking prowess that they have. It was just a real thing that happened in that game. He had the ball on the edge of the box. He had like 4 players around him. He took a shot and it obviously got blocked. So it was the wrong choice to shoot at that point. The ball almost instantly came back to him. And then he had like half a yard of open space to get a shot off. And he tried to pass and it was cut off by the defender. So the decision making just seems to be a bit all over the place from the Mainz players. And I think Bremen are going to win this game. I'm going to go for it. I think Bremen are going to win 2-0.
Bayern Munich versus SC Freiburg.
Absolutely, hands down, the worst performance we've seen from Bayern Munich since lockdown. But what did they do? They won 2-1. Surprise, surprise. They rested a lot of players, and obviously they didn't have Thomas Müller or Lewandowski through suspension, and they really missed the pair of them. They probably missed Müller more than they missed Lewandowski, really, which is surprising to say. Just his ability to find space and to link up the play, that they really, really missed that. But the players that they did play, particularly Xerxes, you've got to give him credit, comes into the starting lineup and scores a goal. We've highlighted him before for what a talented young player he looks. And, the goal he scored, although it was gifted to him from a Jan Sommer mistake, it was still a difficult finish, which he hit first time and he scored. And then Bayern were just really poor. They were really off the pace from what you would expect. They looked like a side that were going through the motions a little bit. It had 1-1 written all over it. And then what do? They score a goal in the last minute. Pavard, who was unlucky, got an own goal earlier on in the game, rewrites the wrong, sets up Goretzka, who scores, who carries on his fine season, and they've probably already secured the title by the time they play this game, and they're going to win. Hands down, easy. They're probably going to win 3-0.
My only fear with this Bayern side is they're all totally hungover in this game because they've been partying for a week, but then where are you going to go party at this point? I don't give Freiburg a bat's chance in hell, despite them coming off possibly their best comeback of the year in a 2-2 draw with Wolfsburg. They were down 2-0 at half-time, and it was cruising for a bruising. They were pathetic. They'd actually conceded 4 times at that point, one of which was given as offside, but then there was a foul in the build-up when Weghorst gets kicked in the head, so they end up conceding a penalty anyway. The next one he is offside. But the second half, they turned it around. Haller and Sally both getting goals, and they dominated Wolfsburg in the second half. There have been a lot of these matches in Bundesliga this season where 1 minute one team's winning, we get into the second half, and we always talk about a match of 2 halves, but there just seems like there's a ton of them in the Bundesliga. It's exhausting. I was texting you at half time being like, no. They stand no chance. It's done, dead, buried, easy, and it ends 2-2. They now somehow find themselves 4 points off a European spot. I mean, you look at their recent form, they've picked up literally 5 points out of the last 15, and they're 4 points off a European spot. And if that doesn't tell you how bad everybody is under 6th place, I don't know what it does. Like, this kind of clump between 7 and 10 just seems to rotate every single round. Bayern are probably won the title, like you said, at this stage, so we could see players rested. But again, Müller and Lewandowski didn't play last week, and you get the feeling that if the Champions League is brought back, it's like the end of July or August when they do, and they're going to want these guys to play as much football as they can in the lead-up. Could Freiburg pull out something like the Leipzig performance again? Yes. Will they? No. 4-0 Munich.
FC Schalke 0-4 versus VfL Wolfsburg.
So this is like the opposite of what I was just talking about. I was just talking about how good a performance Freiburg had. Wolfsburg, De Wolf, what the hell are you people doing? The most deserved 2-0 halftime lead I've ever seen. Weghorst gets his first goal. It is picture perfect. We talked about these players all season. Brooks, fantastic center back, gets the ball, plays it to Arnold, who's been immense in the middle of the park, plays it out wide to Stefan, crosses it, Weghorst goal. Second goal, Weghorst goes for a header, kicked in the head, Ginczek puts it in the back net. Nope, he's offside, but it's a penalty because Weghorst has this giant gaping wound on his forehead. Weghorst steps up, calm penalty, it's 2-0, game, set, and match. Oh no. They go up, they score again. It's offside again, and they just fell apart from there. They're now only 3 clear in 6. They've got Gladbach before we even get to this. They probably have lost that, although Wolfsburg have pulled out big performances. But this spine of the team is so good, and I want to highlight Arnold here because in the first half, he's like a pit bull at times. He's really gritty. He's really forceful. He'll foul everybody.
He's a real box-to-box midfielder, isn't he?
Yeah.
The lesser-seen box-to-box midfielder.
He genuinely reminds you a little bit of Frank Lampard in that ability to get forward and score goals, but also he's a midfielder. He's not an attacking midfielder. He's a midfielder. But he went missing in the second half. When they needed that star midfielder to kind of grab them by the scruff of the neck and pull them up, he went missing. And this is what this team needs. They need to improve just a little bit on these sort of players. They took off Stefan and brought on, I think it's Gal Victor is his name, and he's really good as well, but you felt like they needed Stefan to stay on. I think he's coming back from an injury, so it makes sense. But Arnold needed to step up more, and you felt like if Stefan could have stayed on the pitch, they might have done slightly better. It ends 2-2. They come in against a Schalke team, which, as we all know, I predict to lose every week because they're pathetic, useless, and they all deserve to be sacked, though I'm sure you will argue otherwise in a minute. I can't do anything but think Wolfsburg will win this. They know that 2 wins here will probably get them the final Europa League place. I've got them winning this one 2-0.
Scoffing at your notes, what you've written of Schalke, saying that this 1-1 draw was the best performance of their season. You crazy nutcase.
Yes.
It was really enjoyable to see Schalke back up the improved performance they had against Union Berlin with an excellent performance against Leverkusen. A game they really should have won, and it was only the fact that they got so tired in the last 20 minutes of the game that Leverkusen just came onto them, started to dominate, and they got the equalising goal. David Wagner is a depleted side. It is a very young side. They're not even a side that can fill their subs bench. They've got 2 goalies on the bench just to make 7 players, so they really are down to the bare bones. But these guys put a shift in. You always talk about it. They like the one thing you want to see as a football fan is your team try, and that has been something that has been lacking from Schalke. And it was nice to see a well-organised, a well-drilled, a team that looked like they had a game plan. They made it difficult for Leverkusen. They put them under pressure. They won it. They looked like they wanted to win every second ball, which they did for the majority of the game. And it actually looked like they were going to pull off a big surprise and get their first win since lockdown. So very, very impressed with Schalke this time round. They got a 1-0 lead for a penalty, which is slightly fortuitous. It's one of those ones where it almost like just has to brush the arm hair of a defender, and it gets given as a penalty these days. I really think that was a harsh penalty on Leverkusen, but Caligiuri scored it. He had a great game, as did Kabak, as did Weston McKennie. He is like a bundle of energy every time that he plays for them. Nubel was superb in goal again. It's really weird why he's going to Bayern just to be a sub-goalkeeper, but unfortunately, they did not get the win. It was a 1-1 draw. It was Miranda who scored an own goal. It was a bit like Pavard's, where he had to just try and make a tackle. And if he wouldn't have got it, Paulinho would have scored. And it just hit him and went in the back of the net. But much improved display. And if they play like that, if nothing else, the fans can be at least proud of their side again, which is what you would expect from a club as big as Schalke, to at least put in good performances. I think this one, I always pick Schalke to score. It's always to my detriment. 2-1 Wolfsburg win.
Ian, I think it's time to crack open a drink.
Yes, that's right, Thomas. It's time to celebrate with a drop of the 1899, because it's 1899 Hoffenheim versus 1.FC Union Berlin.
Just give me half a bottle of Blue Nun.
The lesser seen Union win. They won. They finally won their first match since play was resumed. They beat Koln 2-1 and were value for money in the match. They're actually up 2-0, I think, until the very end when they conceded a late goal. Great result for Union. They're so good at staying in the game, and they can punish teams from set pieces. And surprise, surprise, both goals basically came from a set piece. First goal was literally a set piece, and the second goal, corners cleared, and they put it back in the box and they score. I don't think there's a lot to be said about this Union side. If you allow them to play football, if you allow them, to grind out the results and you can't break them down, they will end up getting a goal against you. But they're probably the second worst side in the league, and their fans have kept them up. And I don't see it going well for them against a Hoffenheim side who are really close to a European League place with 2 matches left. I don't think Union have anything to play for. I think that win keeps them up. And I've got Hoffenheim winning this match 1-0.
Yeah, I think Hoffenheim will win this match as well, but again, I don't think it'll be easy. A very, very, very unlucky performance against RB Leipzig. It was a crazy start to the game. That seems to be Hoffenheim's mantra in recent weeks. They have these crazy opening periods. Baumgartner should have given them the lead after about 2 minutes. Then they had a penalty, and it was one of those ones where I'm sure the referee literally checked every single possible reason for it not to be a penalty. And I think he took it back to a game 3 games earlier to where a Hoffenheim player handballed it, and he said, oh no, that's carried on to this one, because it was extremely harsh not to give that penalty. And then what would you know it, that was after 5 or 6 minutes, and then next time you looked at the score after 10 minutes they were 2-0 down. It was absolutely crazy. They just switched off and Leipzig punished them. Almo with 2 goals. The second one really should have been saved by Baumann, and then it just became a matter of, can Hoffenheim get back into it? They certainly should have done. They had plenty of chances and had plenty of possession and created a lot, but just could not get back into the game. So well done to RB Leipzig on that one. Not what Hoffenheim needed when they were pushing for European spot, and they'll be happy that Wolfsburg and Freiburg ended up drawing in the end, so they didn't lose too much ground. I think they'll be too strong for Union in this one, but it'll be tight. It'll be 2-1 to Hoffenheim.
Because Fortuna Dusseldorf host FC Augsburg.
Really was the case of Augsburg winning their World Cup final, if you like, in that game against Mainz. They just needed to get a victory to put to bed any fears of relegation. They've all but done it, even if it's not mathematically safe. They're pretty much going to be safe on that one. 44 seconds was all they needed to get the winner. It was Niederlandscher who desperately needed a goal, hadn't scored for God knows how long, and he was the one who got it. It was a very good opportunistic finish. He sort of got on the end of a ball into the box, and he volleyed it into the ground, and it just kind of looped over the goalkeeper. So he did get a little bit lucky, but for what I've seen of Niederlandscher over the last few weeks, he does deserve it. He keeps getting in there, he keeps trying, and he deserved his goal. That's 12 goals for him now for the season. That's his best return in a Bundesliga season. So well done to him, well done to Augsburg. Not much more to say about them in this one. What am I going to say, Tom?
I don't know. What is
draw? 1-1.
1-1. Yeah, Dusseldorf lost again this last week. That really respectable result for them. They lost 1-0 to Dortmund. Obviously, it was a Haaland goal that sunk them, and it was really late on. They had tried to force the issue up until that point, but they are just not good enough. This is a must-win game for them. Augsburg are only a couple clear of them. Werder are breathing down their necks. They're only behind on goal difference, although God knows with the previous matches what will have happened. But we think they're both coming off a loss. Dusseldorf will almost certainly be coming up a loss. They're playing Leipzig, though Leipzig do love to draw matches. But they are not going to win games unless they put Hennings on the pitch instead of being on the bench. He scored the last 2 weeks, and they've yet again put him on the bench. Hennings' watch, we got rid of it. He scored multiple times, and then Hennings' watch is back on.
In the hearts and minds of our very biased opinions fans, Thomas, we didn't get rid of it.
No.
Still
So,
there.
Hennings' watch! Will he, won't he this week?
Hennings' watch is literally, will he be watching from the bench?
The best this club can hope for is a playoff spot. I really feel for them. I don't think Augsburg are going to come to play, and I think Augsburg will lose this. I think Dusseldorf will get a win. It'll make it really tight, especially if that Werder win happens that you think. I've got Dusseldorf to win this 2-0.
Hertha Berlin versus Bayern 0-4 Leverkusen.
There is nobody I'd rather talk about right now than the Alte Dame. What the actual hell is happening? This was a club you and I were so excited about. We're looking so good. They looked like they turned a corner. They got rid of Jurgen Klinsmann. They brought in Jens Lehmann to the board. The club was solidifying. They're really good, really talented young side. They lost to Dortmund. Fine. Yeah, great. It was 1-0. You did well against the second best team. And then they go out and get smashed against Frankfurt. Boyata, what are you doing? Well, actually, 2 yellows. So stupid for the foul on Dose. It was barred. And it was just a straight red. That's how bad it was. It was stupid. It ruined the game. And all we can say is Labadia has a job on his hands to raise this team after 2 straight losses, which has knocked them out of any chance of European qualification. They basically have nothing to play for this season bar pride. They're in 11th. They're not getting relegated. And they're not going to Europe. But I think they really need Cunha's invention back in the side. Hopefully he starts to recover from this concussion and they have him back for this match because they'll need it against my favorite side, Leverkusen. I've got Hertha to lose this one. I think it'll be tight. I think Leverkusen will win 2-1.
I don't know where I stand on Leverkusen now, Tom. It seems to be between them and Gladbach to see who can fuck up the least to try and get that final Champions League spot. They seem to be finding new ways to not win games. I mean, to not get a win against Schalke is almost unforgivable, although it was a much improved performance from Schalke. Leverkusen were really quite poor. They did have Kai Havertz back, but he didn't look fit to me. He looked very sort of off the pace in that game. I'm not sure whether they rushed him back. And just generally, it was a very off the pace performance. And it was only really in the last few moments in the game where Schalke tired that they even came back into it. But they did at least get a draw out of that game. I did think the fullbacks looked quite good. I thought Wendell and Weiser added a lot of pace and caused a lot of problems down the flank. And one player I really liked was Paulinho. He only had a brief cameo in the game, but every time he got on the ball, he looked like he was going to do something special. I mean, go figure. A Brazilian player that's good on the ball. I mean, it's not like we haven't seen one of them before, but he looked like a guy that wanted to take people on and create chances, and he's definitely one for the future for Leverkusen. This is a difficult game. I think this is a really tough game. Hertha will definitely want to play a lot better than they did and put that defeat against Frankfurt behind them. And I'm going to be rogue in this one, Tom. This is my one where we differ. I'm going to go for a Hertha Berlin win. I think Hertha Berlin are going to win this one 2-1.
The penultimate match of the weekend, because it's SC Paderborn 0-7 versus Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Hey, as you called it, the wheels finally came off Paderborn and they got absolutely smashed 5-1 by Werder Bremen. Really poor result, really poor performance. Just sort of underlines everything what we say. They do at least try to play their football all the time. They're not a negative side, but it's often to their detriment, and they've unfortunately proven they've not been good enough to stay in the league. I'm not going to harp on about them too much. The damage is already done. Coming up against the Gladbach side, who need the points to get in the Champions League. Again, you're just looking at another Paderborn defeat, really. They might play with a bit of freedom, and they're probably going to play very, very relaxed style. And I think Gladbach are going to get some goals, despite maybe not having Thuram, which is a loss for them. And I think that Gladbach will win the game. I think it will be 3-0 to Gladbach.
All right, before I get into it, I think it's going to be 4-0. If Thuram is missing, I will get this wrong because he and Plea had such a great connection. They're going to feel really hard done, like we said, against Bayern Munich, losing 2-1. A rare summer mistake as well in goal. But this Gladbach side have been really good this season. They're the 5th best team in the country, maybe the 4th. It's now a battle between Gladbach and Leverkusen, and both of them have really tough run-ins. Gladbach are going to be coming off a game against Wolfsburg. Obviously, then Leverkusen are going to do battle with Hertha. And this is just a really tough round to predict. But I've got Gladbach winning this one 4-0.
Feel sorry for keepers at times, just quickly, because the one thing about modern football is keepers have to play out from the back, and they're going to make just as many mistakes with their passing as outfield players do. But unfortunately, when they make a mistake, it's going to end up in a goal.
Everybody.
Jan Sommer's usually pretty good. It was just a rare mistake from him. And he actually played quite well in the game, apart from that. RB Leipzig versus Borussia Dortmund.
We're really let down in that the weekend's matches have played out the way they did, because basically everything's gone RB Leipzig's way. A week ago, it looked like they were in a battle to stay in the Champions League places. Now they're 5 points clear in third with the Leverkusen draw and a Gladbach loss. They had a good win. They beat Hoffenheim 2-0. It can be described by many as lucky. 2 goals from Danny Olmo. Like we said, the second one probably should have been saved. They're also then playing Dusseldorf midweek. Lol. Dortmund basically will want to win this to exert some control over Leipzig, but I think Leipzig will want this to guarantee their place in third. And if they win this, they pretty much are guaranteed third. So, I think Dortmund are going to lose this. I've not been enthused by the way they played recently. I don't know, after such a long season of them trying to win the league and coming where they did, if it has any effect. I'm going to go with a Leipzig 3-1 victory here.
Wow, really surprised by that. No, I'm not going to go that at all. I'm going to go for a draw in this one. I think it's going to be 1-1. Dortmund were poor, but they found a way to win. That's why you signed a player like Erling Haaland, is to score you quality goals when you need it. And that's exactly what they did. We've talked a lot about Bayern and Dortmund, how they turned draws into wins. And case in point was this weekend, really. They played with all the energy, enthusiasm of a side that knows they're not going to win anything this season. I don't think it really matters if they come second or third in the long run. So, but I just have a feeling they'll just keep a Leipzig side at arm's length and it'll play out to a draw. I'm going to go for 1-1. But they were well off the pace and there's not really much more you need to bang on about it, I don't think.
I think we've given everybody what they need. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. Really quickly, a couple shout outs. May Allen, yes, it's really cool that we can now put sections in this. It does look really good. Shane O'Donnell, great predictions. Darren Warburton, you're a Man United fan. That is a positive in my book. M. Collage BVD. You said that you're apparently going to kill Ian if he calls you terrible one more time. Ian, do you have anything to say to that?
Who am I calling terrible?
Mikolaj BVB. Every week.
Which team?
No, it's the guy who writes on here. Every time he writes, you call him terrible. So
rubbish, useless.
Sorry, I apologize for him. Johnny Talks Bundesliga, our man with a plan. Thank you for your predictions again. We love your channel. If you guys want some more, probably even more in depth than what we're giving you predictions, go and check his channel out. Check all our movies out. We're now doing Serie A, Premier League, the playoffs, Bundesliga, the German Cup final. It's all happening. We're exhausted.
Bolivian Premier League, second division in Chile.
And all that's left to say is, oh God, I need to go to bed.